か。
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room to check on his co-workers. He never functioned well by himself and constantly needed support and guidance from others. So the thought of total solitude was terrifying to him. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
さっき気になった、そう、なんだっけ、レストルームじゃなくて、なんだっけ、掃除小屋。掃除小屋
When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, he entered the door on his left.
左に入りました。そうだそうだ。左に入って、まず上に行くか下に行くかっていうのもあったし、リッチがね、これ大好きでしょって言われてるけど、これ大好きだね、こういうのね。これ大好きだね。
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there. Oh no, oh no, 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 not again. I won't be part of this. I'm not going to encourage you. I'm not going to say anything at all. I'm just going to be patient and wait for you to finish whatever it is you enjoy doing so much in this room. Please take your time.
はい、ありがとうございます。お疲れ様です。あー、掃除小屋だ。なんもね。って言われた。貢献にしてるな。何にもねえ。でも本当に何にもない。辛い。何にもないな。満足したわ。お疲れ。ここだ。
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
下行ってみよう。開かない。待って。もうここでもいっぱい分岐があるのやめて。こっち行ってみるかしら。まず外だ。
But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss, admitting he had left his post during work hours. He might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished. His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. All of my co-workers blinking mysteriously out of existence in a single moment for no reason at all. None of it made any logical sense. And as Stanley pondered this, he began to make other strange observations. For example, why couldn't he see his feet when he looked down? Why did doors close automatically behind him wherever he went? And for that matter, these rooms were starting to look pretty familiar. Were they simply repeating? No, Stanley said to himself, this is all too strange. This can't be real. And at last, he came to the conclusion that had been on the tip of his tongue. He just hadn't found the words for it. I'm dreaming! This is all a dream. Oh, what a relief Stanley felt to have finally found an answer, an explanation. His co-workers weren't actually gone. He wasn't going to lose his job. He wasn't crazy after all. And he thought to himself, I suppose I'll wake up soon. I'll have to go back to my boring real-life job pushing buttons. I may as well enjoy this while I'm still lucid. So, he imagined himself flying and began to gently float above the ground. Then he imagined himself soaring through space on a magical starfield. And it too appeared. It was so much fun. And Stanley marveled that he had still not woken up. How was he remaining so lucid? And then perhaps the strangest question of them all entered Stanley's head. One he was amazed he hadn't asked himself sooner. Why is there a voice in my head dictating everything that I'm doing and thinking? Now the voice was describing itself being considered by Stanley, who found it particularly strange. I'm dreaming about a voice describing me, thinking about how it's describing my thoughts, he thought. And while he thought it all very odd and wondered if this voice spoke to all people in their dreams, the truth was that, of course, this was not a dream. How could it be? Was Stanley simply deceiving himself? believing that if he's asleep, he doesn't have to take responsibility for himself. Stanley is as awake right now as he's ever been in his life. Now, hearing the voice speak these words was quite a shock to Stanley. After all, he knew for certain, beyond a doubt, that this was in fact a dream. Did the voice not see him float and make the magical stars just a moment ago? How else would the voice explain all that? This voice was a part of himself too. Surely, if he could just... He would prove it. He would prove that he was in control, that this was a dream. So he closed his eyes gently, and he invited himself to wake up. He felt the cool weight of the blanket on his skin, the press of the mattress on his back, the fresh air of a world outside this one. Let me wake up, he thought to himself. I'm through with this dream. I wish it to be over. Let me go back to my job. Let me continue pushing the buttons. Please, it's all I want. I want my apartment and my wife and my job. All I want is my life exactly the way it's always been. My life is normal. I am normal. Everything will be fine. I am okay. Stanley began screaming. Please, someone, wake me up. My name is Stanley. I have a boss. I have an office. I am real. Please, just someone tell me I am real. I must be real. I must be. Can anyone hear my voice? Who am I? Who am I? And everything went black.
そして全ては暗闇の中に消え去っていきました。怖い。
This is the story of a woman named Mariella.
誰
Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, gathered her belongings, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. And although she would soon turn to go call for an ambulance, for just a few brief moments, she considered the strange man. He was obviously crazy. This much she knew. Everyone knows what crazy people look like. And in that moment, she thought to herself how lucky she was to be normal. I am sane. I am in control of my mind. I know what is real and what isn't. It was comforting to think this, and in a certain way, seeing this man made her feel better. But then she remembered the meeting she had scheduled for that day. The very important people whose impressions of her would affect her career, and by extension, the rest of her life. She had no time for this, so it was only a moment that she stood there, staring down at the body. And then she turned and ran.
そして振り返って走り出しました。死んでんねんぞこっちは。頼むわほんと。またこの部屋だ。もういいもういい。気になることだらけだ。電話来てる。どこもしもし。
Just wanted to leave you a message to let you know there's a few things I need you to pick up on your way home from work today. We need milk, cereal, dish soap, spaghetti, get a thing of sugar, some bread, and coffee beans, whichever ones you like. I'll give you a call if there's anything I forgot. Thanks, sweetie. See you tonight.
なるほど。あれだって、奥さんがコーヒー入れて待ってくれてるから早く帰ってきてねみたいなことを言ってた。なんかだんだん変わっていくのかな。ちょっと見てた方がいいかな。びっくりした。ちょっと待って。今いいとこだから。
When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, he entered the door on his left.
右行って分岐は特になかった。あれか。コーヒーっていうか休憩所にずっといるっていうのと行くのとって感じか。もう一回左行ってみて。会議室。
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
そんなことになるの？いいけど別に。で、
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
はい、すいません。で、そうそうそう、こっちに行ってない。なんもなかった。え？この時に奥に行
But
けないのか。
Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss, admitting he had left his post during work hours. He might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished. His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. All of my co-workers blinking mysteriously out of existence in a single moment for no reason at all. None of it made any logical sense. And as Stanley pondered this, he began to make other strange observations. For example, all of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
あれ？最初のと同じだな、これな。掃除用具入れはもう入れないんだろうな、きっと。あれ？あれ？これ話したっけ？あれ？
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
あと何やってないんだろう。あれだ。番号を入れるところ、エスケープのところもあるし、番号を入れるところもあるな。
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Boss's office. 急に雰囲気変わる、こんな感じ。あれ？そうだ、エグザクティブバスルームが。開くじゃん。お邪魔します。ちょっと訳していいですか？ちょっと待ってね。ごめんな、英語ができないばっかりに。たった一つを選ぶとしたらどんな人生だろう。怖えよ。急になんだよ。不敬よ。たった一つを選ぶとしたらどんな人生だろう。なんかそうやって新しい部屋が出てくの本当にやめてほしい。怖いから。いけるようになってるっていうのが一番衝撃が強い。あれ？はっ！こんな部屋あったっけ？ちょっと一旦こっち行っていい？一旦怖いから。
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. What could it mean? Stanley wondered aloud to nobody. He began wildly tearing through papers on the boss's desk, pulling books off the shelf, looking behind paintings, desperate for clues to his situation. But his attention was caught by a keypad behind the boss's desk. What could its purpose be? In fact, this keypad guarded the terrible secret that lay buried below his feet. and so the boss had assigned it. Stanley was in such a rush to get through the story as quickly as possible, he didn't even have a single minute to just let the narrator talk. That kind of anxiety isn't healthy, so he relaxed for a few moments with some calming New Age music.
落ち着いたニューエイジミュージック。あー、リラックスできるわ、これは。いいね、脳にくるね。
Feeling soothed and rejuvenated, Stanley calmly walked forward into the opened passageway.
よし。こっちか。あ、そっか、オンにするとオフにするのも逆だったもんな。行かなきゃな。
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
マインドコントロールファシリティだ。あ、エスケープだ。
Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley would meet his violent death.
マジ
The door behind him was not shut. Stanley still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track.
進むんだ。超怖いんですけど。超嫌なんですけど。
At this point, Stanley was making a conscious, concerted effort to walk forward and willingly confront his death.
わーい、死ぬぞ。暗い。暗い。はっ。あ、なんだ
As the machine whirred into motion and Stanley was inched closer and closer to his demise, it reflected that his life had been of no consequence whatsoever. Stanley can't see the big picture. He doesn't know the real story, trapped forever in his narrow vision of what this world is. Perhaps his death was of no great loss, like plucking the eyeballs from a blind man. So he resigned and willingly accepted this violent end to his brief and shallow life. Stanley.
さらばした。ああ、死ぬのか。
Farewell, Stanley, cried the narrator, as Stanley was led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, Stanley was obliterated, as the machine crushed every bone in his body, killing him instantly. And yet it would be just a few minutes before Stanley would restart the game, back in his office, as alive as ever. What exactly did the narrator think he was going to accomplish? When every path you can walk has been created for you long in advance, death becomes meaningless, making life the same. Do you see now? Do you see that Stanley was already dead from the moment he hit start?
わかんない。スタンレーズコンピューター。あ、見取り図。この すげえ。デバッグルームみたいなところに来たってこと？クレジットだ。え？あ、ここだ。
Oh, look at these two. How they wish to destroy one another. How they wish to control one another. How they both wish to be free.
この二人？えい。
Can you see? Can you see how much they need one
彼ら
another?
がどれほどお互いを必要としているのかが。
No, perhaps not. Sometimes these things cannot be seen. But listen to me. You can still save these two. You can stop the program before they both fail. Push escape and press quit. There's no other way to beat this game. As long as you move forward, you'll be walking someone else's path. Stop now and it'll be your only true choice. Whatever you do, choose it. Don't let time choose for you. Don't let time...
ああ怖い。ぺっちゃんこよ。スタンリー君？そういうあ、マジでもうなんもできんわ。死んだもの。だって死んだから。ああ。すげえな。式を選ばせてください。はあ、帰ってきちゃった。